Many new artifacts are surfacing, along with some older artifacts that already indicated that Sumerians had come to South America in the ancient past, and that they were farming tin, metals, gold, and precious stones from out of the Americas, and indeed may have been the gods that the Aztec and Mayas talked about whenever they describe a pale man with blue eyes and a beard that was supposed to have been their god coming back, the inevitable Quetzalcoatl. Now, these artifacts that you see here are part of a collection that many people had written off years ago, but other people got into these and started looking at them, and they find some truth in here, and they say, sure, there's some fakes mixed in that locals try to pull off, and you can tell. But you can also tell some of this has a workmanship that's beyond the people attempting to do it if it were meant to be faked. And then they find an ancient Sumerian text, which is written right here around this man's feet, on his sash, on this guy's book, around him, and so on, that leads one to believe that this is ancient Sumerian and that they had come to South America. Now, Father Crespi is a South American priest and a missionary type, and he had found locals that had brought him some neat things, and he offered money for this. Now, the locals, being in poverty, started going out and searching for things like this, and of course, when you do something along that line, you're going to end up with perhaps some fakes from people, and he would buy them from the locals to keep everything going, never having a problem. Very few times did he blatantly tell people they were fakes and things, but then, because he started to know archaeology pretty well, and but he would still end up buying them from the people for less than, of course, a real nice artifact. But he really kept this whole community going, and people from afar at times too, in just the endeavor of trying to find these ancient artifacts. And indeed, to this day, many of them are showing up to be Sumerian artifacts. And another one that pinpoints Sumerians being here is the Magna Cuenta bowl, which I'll try to show you here later at the end of this too, where it's a bowl, a ceremonial bowl, and it's written in cuneiform and in the ancient Sumerian hieroglyphics that they had. So we're able to coincide that as being written in two languages. It's quite a neat thing. There's representations of Sumerian elites detected in the Crespi gold tablets. It's becoming increasingly clear that the Sumerians had established a colony in South America called Kugaki. Kugaki was the land of the west, or the sunset land in Sumerian inscriptions, and it was the land where the sun sets at. And whenever you're there and it rises in the east and sets in the west, if they follow the sun and continue to follow it to its inevitable sunset of one hemisphere, it will be the day in the next place. And this Kugaki is shown to be right here in this area where they found all these type of tablets. It's near Cusco, near Nazca, Lake Titicaca, Tiwanaku, and Potosi. And it's right here clustered in this area, which now is broken into a lot of smaller city-states. But it's the western tinland of the Sumerians. Now, the Sumerians in South America left several inscriptions and artifacts there. The Pacotia monument and the Fuente Magna bowl were written in linear Sumerian. The fact that the writing existed in the Fuente Magna bowl and Pacotia monument in Sumerian, and the identification of Sumerian names, places, and altiplanos suggest that the Ecuador to Bolivia area was Kugaki. Researchers have suggested that some of the gold tablets in the Crespi collection may also be written in linear Sumerian. Father Crespi collected thousands of artifacts that he claimed were found by local Indians in caves in Ecuador. Father Crespi was born in Milan, Italy in 1891 and died in 1982. Whenever he passed away, people got his collection. Now, there are supposed many engraved tablets in the Crespi collection, and indeed I've watched a show or 3 different shows, presentations on things that they had found. Some of them are no longer there, by the way. You look at some of the earlier ones and then the later ones, and some of this stuff is not showing up any further. And it could be that some of them are sent to research, but other people call foul play. So Eric von Daniken talked about this in Chariots of the Gods. Was the first researcher to bring to our attention some of the ancient tablets in the Crespi collection. Of course, Van Daniken years ago was written off, but now we're starting to find more and more things that are really correlating here. I wanted to read Crespi's tablets for years, but I avoided tempting reading the tablets because all have been from photographs of them. The photographs of the tablets often lack a full representation of the inscription, or the lighting is poor, so it's difficult to make out certain signs. Even though in this case I will attempt to read some of the Crespi tablets because they may give us more insight to the culture, religion, and Sumerians at Kuga Key. He used Baal and Hilarian Sumerian words to read the Crespi metal tablets. Now, in his book, Ancient Scripts in South America, he discussed the Sumerian symbols found on the textiles of Inca sagas. The Guaman Pama we find in Inca rulers called Saga or Capac have Proto-Sumerian signs similar to the signs in textile worn in Ecuadorian elite. And I've shown you a picture of the Magna Fuente bowl and then the pictures of the moon and the sun and Saturn and the star patterns that they used to use. And indeed, that was all Sumerian in an elder video here months ago. Well, it's been over a year now. But let's continue to look at these right here because there's a robed man here, the shaman on the left, okay? And this is Sumerian written down his sash and also written down the edge of his scarf coming down off the back of his hat. There's a snake in the relief and so on, and he seems to be reaching out his hand in a gesture, right? Well, the names of the Crespi elites are either found on the textile hanging from the waist of the shaman or flaps hanging down from the headband of the chief. There are two shaman in the Crespi tablets. The first shaman holds a staff in his left hand. The right hand is held as high as if greeting someone. The name of the shaman on the textile is hanging from his waist. And so here's the picture that we're looking at, and the man appears to be greeting. Now he's wearing a crown and things, and of course they dated this here at like 1600 BC, but I'm not sure if it's this one or the other one. They dated one of these two that we're looking at today, and I believe it's this one, to 1600 BC, but then they give it a variant of 600 to 800 years. So it could be 2400-ish or a little more BC, all the way down to maybe around 1000 BC, but we're still looking at very much pre-Columbus and even pre-Eric the Viking. Okay? So the gold that they used to test this off, of course, there's soot and things like that in the gold making and smelting process, and they think that maybe throwing it off, and what they're having is an earlier date and a later date where it had been remelted again, and so you're getting a splay of days. So it could have been a remelting around 1600 and could even be older than that from some gold that comes from where. They can't really figure that one out at this point yet, but they're trying. Now he's a shepherd, got a hook here, although it looks like there's a snake face on it. And a lot of symbology in this too. So here's the inscription over here. And his name is Lidakuku with the scepter of the shaman. Now, the Sumerian signs in the first three panels on the textile are the transliteration signs are as follows: Lupamash, Ludakuku, Mashmita. The translation is the man with the scepter, or the shaman, Lidakuku. The shaman Lidakuku is bound to the oracle. From this tablet we find the shaman carried a symbol of authority in his staff. A Sumerian chief in the tablets, they say. Next, Crespi's tablet has a man sitting on a throne with a stylus in his hand and an inscribed document on his lap. The man wears a headband with flaps. Hanging down from the headband, this elite wears feathers in his hair. And you can see this here, and it has a definite Indian-type motif to it. And he appears to be sitting here, perhaps talking to a snake. You know, an odd depiction here, but he also seems to be using a scribe's pen, right? Wearing an odd neck brace that looks a little bit different than a common Sumerian, but it almost looks like Mayan and Aztec. Sitting in a chair that has an animal head edifice into it. and definitely more of a modern looking chair and cuts and things than they had. So this is an odd depiction from the dating they give on this. Now, there are 4 panels containing inscriptions on the flap of the headband. These panels contain the name of this chief. From top to bottom we read Mimi, Bigalu. The signs on the headband flap say Mimi, the chief, or esteemed one, or Mimi, the esteemed chief. Right here written down his head. Now, the other inscriptions that are on there, it says I.E. Mimash, I.E. Luli Mimash. We read the following: strong, powerful oracle of the shaman, the glistening oracle, witness the man's rise, this divine decree. So is this a decree for them to rise, this great civilization? Indeed, people a long, long time ago had noted that the temples in Mexico and through all of this are mocking ziggurats instead of pyramids, but they call them pyramids of the sun, the moon, and so on, and they are very much a ziggurat style. So here you can see the inscription right here in Proto that's written out. Now, the strong and powerful man, the oracle of the shaman, witness the powerful man's rise, the glistening oracle, it is witness. This is the divine decree. I think this is amazing, to actually have this on here. Let's take a look again at the Magna Fuente bow. There are many U parts that are out there, and this is one of the weirdest ones there could possibly be. This is the Magna Fuente bow, and I want you to see that around the edge here is written in ancient Sumerian cuneiform, and it can be found in Pumapunku with this Magna Fuente bow. And this is Sumerian here. It's using the same ideograms, the same triangle sets, the same stylus ideas, and so on. They even have symbols of the gods on here. An or Anu is mentioned here in the bowl, and the bowl dates to well over 1000 BC. Now, this right here that's been found and located right near Lake Titicaca has this man on it, and this appears to be the pouring spout. When you look at it from the other tip, it's where it pours it out. This is like a frog type of effigy on the back side of it. There's snake heads, and they coil all the way around the thing, and all of these symbols are all Mayan, yet the other symbols are definitive Sumerian writing here. This all is a proto-script that they have right here. And there's also just the definitive, straightforward Sumerian writing here that's in there. Now this is the symbol of the god. This is An or Anu, the exact symbol from him. So you can find that this is one I've put a video out before, but now there's correlating data, and when people are finally now checking out Father Crespi's collection. I think this is incredible, and it does show the fact of these people coming, and then why the Wari people were here with blonde hair and blue discs over their mummy eyes that the locals call children of the gods. Then they called these people that were fair-skinned, blue-eyed, and had beards that were going to be their gods that come back. And the locals here don't grow beards. They don't grow facial hair. None of the Indian people really do. These people do. You can see all the Sumerians where they have huge beards and so on, although these two figures appear to be somewhat shaved, and priests were shaved. They would shave twice a day, they said, in a few tablets. So, so did the Egyptians too, by the way. So odd to find any of those with any hair, but they generally use a wig. They had a bad lice problem back then and so on. So a neat correlation here, people, that is showing you that there actually were Sumerians in South America, and that they may have been the gods that Pizarro and them had spoke of when they came here. Pizarro said that he was talking to the locals, and they were much paler than the people that were there. The kings that were there and the nobility were actually much more pale and almost the same body shade as the Spaniards themselves. They were talking with them, And Pizarro had seen a blonde-haired girl with blue eyes with a baby called an Indian woman by him. And so he asked the nobles, and the nobles said that, oh, she is one of the children of the gods. There's no more depictions of these people, although Pizarro himself did take some skulls and skeletons of some of the mummies that had this. And they are still in museums to this day, and this story is passed along with them. So, interesting correlation. And so, who more than 1,000 years, almost 2,000 years easily before 1492 came? Well, it looks like 1492 BC, and we've got an almost 3,000 year spread where these people were coming a long, long time before any Eric the Viking came, and or even Columbus. Indeed, Columbus is now looked at as a rediscovering, but I'm telling you that it comes from this discovery from the ancient Sumerians, some possible 2600 BC, more accurately dated probably around 1600 BC. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. More information like this coming out. Have a great day.